The SVHO has been out for years. Why is the oil pan and pressure an issue now with no prior mention over the years? Greg, take it away.
Yeah. So, this hadn't been an issue. It's not that it hadn't been an issue in prior years. It's just went unnoticed.
It was misidentified.
Right. There's less than 1% of people out there with standalone ECUs and logging capability to even monitor oil pressure to begin with. So there's on a stock ECU, you're not monitoring it, so you have no idea what your oil pressure is doing. So Fuel Tech, probably a year ago, comes into play. They start doing things, and their logging is by far better than anything that I've ever worked with. I mean, it's top-notch stuff. And so we were able to see that, okay, there is, in fact, an oil pressure drop here. And so with that, you look at the factory pan design, and it's kind of self-explanatory when you look at it. I actually got the Fuel Tech pan right here.
Okay. Before 1 second, I need you to answer one thing.
Okay.
What would be, or what are the consequences or byproducts of intermittent or irregular oil pressure in this engine?
So when you lose oil pressure, every single rotating part in this engine is no longer lubricated. You have main bearings, you have rod bearings, your supercharger has a journal bearing design that's heavily dependent on oil pressure. The clutch requires oil pressure. Everything that is moving in this engine needs that oil pressure. There's tolerances there to allow for an oil film. So sure, you've got rod bearings and main bearings, and all of this is rotating at a crazy high RPM on these modified skis, but you're never really getting a metal on metal contact. There's that oil film there preventing that. So you starve the oil, you no longer have that oil film, and you're getting this metal on metal contact, and weaker components will fail. You will have bearing damage. It may not be crazy like the supercharger failures we have, but components will fail. And it's not that they haven't failed before, it's just we never really had, okay, that's why. Billy's actually a prime example because he's got an FZR that has got a short block in it with maybe 25 hours on it, and it just completely shit the bed, low compression, no explanation as to why it happened, and it's a stock ski. So something like that, I know he's on Lake Pontchartrain a lot in rough water. Maybe it starved for oil and, lost a bearing, and that resulted in his issue, or starved the cylinders for oil and scored it up. So the issue's definitely there, and it has been there. It just went unnoticed, and failures that have happened have been unexplained. Or like a clutch, we've labeled it as a wear item, which the Yamaha clutch isn't really a clutch. It's more of a one-way bearing. So it'll allow the supercharger to spin freely in one direction, but when you apply power with the crankshaft, it's going to lock up and not slip at all. So this is going to be a long explanation. So we're seeing oil starvation when you let off the throttle. That's primarily when it happens because of the poor factory pan design. When you're doing that, you're putting the most load on the supercharger and the clutch. So you're starving it of oil for one, and then you're putting more stress on it during that time frame. So what happens is the throttle blade closes. On that ski right there, it makes over 20 pounds of boost. And when you do that, if you don't have a blow-off valve, that air has nowhere to go. So the supercharger is still spinning to make that boost level, but it's just putting more load onto the supercharger because the air has nowhere to flow to. So you're putting more stress on the supercharger and the shaft, more stress on the clutch. And while you're starving it for oil, I promise you that's why you have clutch failing at an earlier rate than what we would like to see, or a supercharger completely destroyed. It's not good for it. But anyways, so with this Fuel Tech pan, sure, first sight, yeah, it's very pretty. I know a lot of people think it's just a jewelry piece, but there's a lot going on here that helps with this issue. So the main thing is going to be the sump design. It's got like this chamber here, whatever you want to call it, and it's got trap doors. So when you decelerate, all of this oil is allowed to flow into the sump. You have an actual 90-degree pickup. And because of this trap door, no oil is, or very minimal oil, because there is small cracks there, very minimal amount of oil is allowed to flow out of it. But when you accelerate, the trap door, the trap door opens and allows plenty of oil flow into there. And the same with the back side of the pan. When you're decelerating, that trap door is open, allowing oil to flow in. Another point is you could see you've got all these holes on top of this little chamber here. The factory pan, it's just a solid plate. So any oil coming from the bottom of the engine dripping into here doesn't fall directly into it. It's got to go through these little baffling with very minimal oil flow actually to get into the factory chamber style design. So this is light years better. Just by installing this, there was no more oil pressure drop. So you're actually maintaining the oil pressure. So yeah, sure, I'll agree with everybody. This is very expensive. It's $1,700. But let's say you don't install this, you've got a modified ski, and you lose a supercharger. That supercharger is over $2,000 from the factory. If you got a Riva shaft kit, add another $500 to that. If you got a aftermarket supercharger impeller, add another $500 to that. So you're looking at $3,000 to fix a broken supercharger. That's probably due to oil starvation, when you could have got this for almost half the cost and never had the issue anyways. So yeah, it's expensive, but it's in the grand scheme of things, this is cheap insurance for the failures that can happen.
Thank you. And I think there's also there's a little bit of an avalanche when it comes to oil cavitation that's occurring within an engine. And like Greg is saying, is that we've gone so many years. 2014 was the first SVHO.
Well, the pan was used on the SHO.
Oh, so yeah.
2008.
Right, 2008. So effectively, you're looking at 15 years of this engine that consequently was not only having irregular oiling that was going through the engine, and we're talking irregular oiling from the valve train all the way down. So if you have irregular oiling on sensitive valve train parts, you got metal on metal. You've got irregular oiling going through. You have possible bearing wear and clutch wear happening with your supercharger. Also, because you're having irregular oiling, that oil does tend to superheat. And that oil can get very, very hot, and you're also looking at a very quick breakdown. One of the nice things about this new oil pan is it literally doubles the oil capacity of your SVHO engine. So instead of 4 quarts, 5 quarts, you're now at 8, 9, 10 quarts. It's a maximum 10-quart pan. And that means there's more oil in circulation, and it's a perpetual, constant pressure flow. There's also a 90-degree pickup in that cage. That cage is also designed with a true 90-degree pickup. So
the factory pickup, it's just the tube goes to the bottom. It's not a good pickup design at all.
It doesn't scavenge like a true oil pickup would. And that is why there's such a superior design. So that is, for engine longevity, killer. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out. This clip was taken from our weekly podcast that we record here every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to watch the whole video, you can go to the Watercraft Journal's YouTube channel, go to playlists, and then click on live sessions. You're going to see it there. Otherwise, go ahead and leave a like, a comment, and definitely subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow. And again, thanks again for watching our videos, and we hope to see you soon.